Good morning. Welcome to Mainline Unitarian Church. I'm Barbara Colton and a member of the Board of Trustees. It's so good to see you all this morning. As this new year unfolds, we find ourselves in a time of both possibility and disruption, with change touching our neighborhoods, our nation, and the world. Whatever weighs on your heart today, come into this circle of community. Find comfort when you need it, belonging in shared stories, love that meets you where you are, and inspiration to carry you forward. We don't gather here to hide from the chaos. We're here to rediscover what anchors us in it. The web of connection, the fire of compassion, and our collective vow to nurture hope, justice, and healing. Right now, we need each other more than ever. Know that your presence strengthens each and every one of us. Welcome. I'm delighted to have those of you joining us online, our returning friends, and I see some new friends and visitors here today as well. If you're visiting, please linger after the service and join us across the hall for coffee and conversation. We'd like to hear your story and to share ours. Also, be sure to check the back of your order of service. It highlights some upcoming events, and be sure to check our website. There's a lot happening here at MLUC. Leading our service today is our senior minister, Reverend John Morehouse. Our music director, David Brown. And I'd like you to please join me in welcoming our special guest musician, Hiroya Tsukamoto, on guitar. Hiroya Tsukamoto brings a blend of masterful finger-style guitar and evocative storytelling that transcends cultural barriers. His artistry has been celebrated on renowned stages like the Blue Note in New York City, the United Nations, NHK Television, and lauded for its delicate, fluid, and beautifully detailed style by Acoustic Guitar magazine. I can't wait. This is such a treat. Our worship associate today is Debbie McKnight. And of course, we have our dedicated media services team supporting our service. Now, let us take a deep breath together, settle in for worship, and affirm our mission statement together. Together, we transform lives through love, service, and our welcoming faith.
you.
Boy, that was great. Really spoke to me. Yeah. Okay, today our chalice lighting is called Bearers of Hope and Resistance by Reverend Michelle Collins. Welcome to this place, a place where hope can be nourished. In a world that profits from despair, our gathering is a declaration of faith. We declare that joy still rises, that kindness still matters, that hope is not dead. We come to remember we are not alone. May our time together restore us to wonder, strengthen our resolve, and return us to the world as bearers of hope that sustains the work of resistance. Please stand as you can in body or spirit to sing hymn number 121, We'll Build a Land.
Thank you. Please be seated. So I know the order of service says the parable of the river, and that was the story I was going to tell by agreement with Dawn Starr, but I woke up this morning and changed my mind, as I do often. I want to tell you a different story, although it has something to do with water, about some very dedicated people who did a very dedicated thing, and how it was reciprocated by nature herself. Off the coast of San Francisco, in the Pacific Ocean, about 25 or 30 miles out, lies some of the richest seafood beds in the entire ocean. In fact, much of the Pacific Ocean catch comes in that canal there, the deep seabed. And huge trawlers go back and forth with their gigantic nets, catching hundreds and thousands of fish that go to market both in San Francisco and throughout the country. Sometimes these trawler nets become loosed from the moorings that are carrying them, these huge boats, and they become undone and they fall into the water. And it's a deep ocean. It's probably 3.5 miles at that area of the trench. So I think most of these commercial fishermen think, well, that's not a big deal. But also in this deep water are whales. Gray whales, blue whales, humpback whales. And they migrate every year from Alaska down the Pacific coast to the warm waters of Mexico, usually around Cabo San Lucas, where there they give birth to their calves each spring and then take the migration back north to Alaska in the summer. It was during this migration, about this time of year, maybe a little later, that one of these huge humpback whales became entangled in a clump of nets. As the nets go through the water, they collect and connect with one another, and they become a great mass of mess. So this humpback whale gets trapped in all these nets, including some old crab lines that have floated downstream, and is really suffering, not able to really get up and down necessary to feed itself. Indeed, one of the nets is wrapped around its mouth. One of the commercial fishermen sees the whale in distress and radios to the marine folks back in San Francisco that the whale needs help. And 3 very dedicated people, because it was a Sunday, not a lot of people were out, get in one of their boats and they head out to see if they can do something. 2 of them put on scuba gear and have sharp knives and decide they're going to jump in the water and try to free this massive creature from these nets that have entangled it. The problem is, these creatures are really, really big, many, many tons. And it's a little unnerving to go up to a beast this size and start taking a gleaming knife and cutting nets off. But that's exactly what they do. And the hardest one of these lines to get free is the one that's wrapped around the whale's mouth. But there's this one, she's a woman, diver, who gets in very close and is managing to cut the net at the thinnest part of the line, which is right by the whale's eye. And the whale is looking directly at her, and she's holding one hand on his side next to his eye, and she can feel the animal relax. She cuts the net free, it falls away, and the whale dashes off. A huge rush of torrent, and the divers are tossed hither and thither, and they think, well, that's it, our job here is done. And they turn around for one last look at the whale, and the whale is charging back at them. Now they're really worried. Well, what's happening? And the woman who was the diver that cut the last cord around the whale's mouth is in the front of the 2 divers, and the whale is coming straight at her, and suddenly, as if with brakes, it's amazing, the whale stops within feet and comes up to her and taps her on the chest and turns slightly so his eye meets hers and then swims away. Sometimes the one thing we do actually makes a difference. Even what we think is small can change the course of an entire sequence of lives. So with that little story, we're going to send the kids out with our song, and I have no idea what happens to you once you get out there, but somebody does.
Each month, we donate half of our collection to a worthy organization in need. The recipient of MLUC's offering outreach for January is the Pottstown Beacon of Hope, a registered 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides emergency shelter and support for individuals experiencing homelessness in the Pottstown community. In alignment with our UU values of love, justice, equity, and interdependence, Pottstown Beacon of Hope creates an atmosphere that builds trusting relationships with their guests, while coordinating and facilitating the necessary resources to aid them in achieving personal growth, independent living, and permanent housing. Some of the other support services include assistance with housing searches, job applications, and obtaining identification. Community volunteers contribute to meal service, transportation, and encampment cleanups. Pottstown Beacon of Hope offers some opportunities to get involved through their Code Blue shelter. Spend a morning serving coffee and connecting with guests as they get ready for their day, and assist with cleaning up and organizing the space for that evening. Individuals and groups are invited to sign up to prepare an evening meal and deliver it to their warming center location between 6:15 and 6:30, or be a Connect and Serve volunteer to serve the meals to the guests. In addition, we can also help with fundraising donations for the organization's current project to open a year-round center that will be a home of hope and humanity with 45 individual rooms for adults, meeting all intake requirements. To make a cashless donation, whether watching remotely or from here in the sanctuary, please follow the instructions on the screen or on the back page of the order of service. The offering will now be gratefully received. Will the ushers please come forward? At this time in the service, it is our custom to share our personal joys and sorrows and concerns. As a community, we acknowledge each joy or sorrow by lighting a candle and saying together, "We hold you in our hearts." We light a candle of concern for all the people experiencing homelessness, especially during winter. For all the people unhoused living out in the cold, we hold you in our hearts. And let us light one more candle for those of us with joys or sorrows too deep to say out loud at this time. We hold you in our hearts. Our reading today is called Meditation for Challenging Times by Reverend Joan Javier Duval. In these quiet moments, we listen. We listen between the cacophony of distractions pulling us towards untruth and falsehood. We listen amidst the shrill cries of desperation of, "We've had enough." Help us to stay firm to our own commitments. Lead us back to connection. May we beckon love and justice and mercy with our own whispers, with our shouts, with our cries, until all know themselves part of the circle of love. Please join me now for a moment of silent reflection.
Thanks again, Hiroya. Excellent work, beautiful. In her novel, Just One Thing, the novelist Holly Jacobs tells the story of a middle-aged woman named Lexi, whose 14-year-old daughter dies of cancer. Lexi, as would be any parent, is devastated. She and her husband struggle and finally divorce, driven apart by the suffering of their lives. When time and circumstance merged their paths together again, they gave their marriage another try, a fledgling triumph of hope over history, brought to an even more painful end when her husband died in a car accident. In the wake of these devastating losses, Lexi retreated to their family's cabin in the northwestern woods of Pennsylvania, where she lived alone, tending her garden, working on her loom, only going into town to buy groceries. Then, on one Monday night, after 4 months alone, she walked a mile or so into town and took a seat on a bar stool in a tavern called the Corner Bar. She chose the stool farthest from the door, hoping to be left alone. She ordered one Killian's Red Draft from the bartender, a man named Sam. She drank the beer slowly and then walked the mile or so home. This night in town became a routine. Always the same bar stool, always one Killian's Red and never more than one, and always on Monday nights. Why Mondays? Lexi explained Fridays and Saturdays are for dates and desperate people looking to hook up, and she wasn't dating and she wasn't interested in hooking up, and Sundays were for church, and it seemed wrong to go to the bar that day, even though she wasn't attending church anymore because her and God weren't exactly on speaking terms. So no bars on Sundays, and midweek was filled with work around the cottage, so Mondays were the day. After 6 months of serving Lexi on Monday nights without a question or comment, Sam, the bartender's curiosity gets the better of him and seems to want to challenge this reticence. He pauses before he sets the beer down and says, "Just tell me one thing about yourself." Lexi decided that telling him one thing about herself was easier than arguing with him, so she just told him her name, just her first name. And thus began a new pattern on Monday nights to which Sam and Lexi adhered faithfully. "Just one thing," Sam would say as he served her each week, and she would respond by telling him just one thing about herself. But she soon began asking him to say just one thing in return, eventually. And things they said to one another began to describe not only the superficial facts of their lives, but also the deep suffering that each of them had endured. She as a mother and wife, and he, it turns out, as a badly wounded combat veteran who had been a medical doctor in the field. Near the end of the book, Lexi says that she realized that we're always evolving, always becoming something more, and that we're always more than just one thing. She said, "I'm more than one thing, and Sam's more than one thing, and maybe the one true thing is that together we are so much more than we are apart." Sometimes the journey to forgiving yourself, to finding yourself, starts with the one person, the one step, the just one thing. Emotionally and spiritually, I believe our relationships make us who we are. The more substantial and reciprocal they are, the more meaningful and joyful really your life will be, even in the midst of heartache. And it is for this reason that I think the goal should always be to increase the quality of our relationships, to deepen them if it's possible, not necessarily to broaden them and make them bigger and bigger like Facebook. Really, I'm talking about going a mile deep to accomplish a goal of knowing yourself and another in the most intimate way that is possible. We enter yet another year together. And so this morning I'm going to invite you to focus on perhaps that one thing that's in your heart that could change your life, that perhaps could change the lives of those around you. That one thing could be a personal revolution, or maybe, dare I say the word, a resolution. I went to the Y on Saturday morning and there were no machines available. And Francis reminded me, it's the beginning of the year. Everybody's on a machine for the first 3 weeks. That was their one thing. I'm going to get in shape. And from the look of it, it looked like they had a long way to go. The thing that we need, perhaps now more than ever, as we connect with one another and connect with this congregation and make it deeper as well as a bit larger, is that we need the one thing that will hold us together in a world that will someday need to recover from this fascism we are living through. So what's the one thing that you're called to? And I hazard a guess, it's already inside of you. In the words of May Sarton, now I am myself, it's taken time, many years and places. I have been dissolved and shaken, worn other people's faces, run madly as if time were there, terribly old, crying a warning, hurry, you will be dead before long. I think that sometimes we spend so much time worrying about the future and bemoaning the past that we don't actually see what's before us. As my colleague Anthony Maker puts it, it's our ultimate context, I think, to hurry, right? Death is coming, better hurry. Better hurry because we may miss our one true calling, fulfilling it, finding a journey that we may have already begun, and a journey that takes as long as it takes. What about your journey, friends? What about how you have been dissolved and shaken? You've worn other people's faces. What about your own face? What about the thing that looks you back in the mirror? And I would say that while we search for this one thing, we, of course, as the opening story tells us, we are so much more than any one thing, aren't we? We are love and loss, hope and disappointment, desire and betrayal. And the one thing may indeed be surviving a great trauma, and what we know now is that trying to restore it to the status quo of what it was before is really not the point. The point is to live with it and search for other things that make you who you are. Waking up to the questions of authenticities wakens us up to the messiness of life. Let's face it, dreams dry up, they fester, they run, they crust, they sugar over. You get older, you sag, you explode, I don't know, and all of it unfolds rather naturally. Or we can feel this global sense of dissatisfaction that others, including our own inner critics, interpret as a literal insanity that we're living through. Or we can never seem to achieve what we think is stability and success, and we miss the world that's right before us. Hearing the call of our true purpose, my friends, is hard because it shakes us to the core. It becomes a fearful moment when it's clear that the life I'm living is not the life that wants to live in me. Society defines success as a path that goes one way. But of course, we know that life doesn't go one way, that there's missteps, there's backtracking, there's circles. We know that what we think is the ultimate way doesn't turn out the way we think it will. And ultimately, it's love over fear. You can't realize anyone's potential, including your own, without a sort of love. Which is why at the heart of our mission here, we talk about love being at the center of all we do. Love that sees through the apparent poverty of the present to the reality, which actually could be something else entirely. Obviously, if you look at the news headlines, kidnapping presidents of other countries and making the world a mess, you would think the world is just a mess. And then there are those many, many daily miracles. that you see in your own life with the ones around you, here and with those you love. Love has to see a way to overcome fear. A lot of fear in our hearts, which aches so much, is fear that can be overcome in a very local way. The question becomes, what are we afraid of? What's holding us back from perhaps pursuing that thing that's right before us, from creating this new possibility? My fears have done plenty to hold me back over the years. I sometimes wonder what would have happened if I actually could have managed organic chemistry and become a doctor. Or, at one particular painful part of my life, when I pondered leaving the ministry and becoming a prosecuting attorney. Why a prosecuting attorney? Because I wanted to put all the bad people away. Obviously, the ministry wasn't going well at that point. This doesn't concern you at all. As possibilities go, the vocation of ministry for myself and for Francis was a good choice. But fear holds us back more often than not. The fear to change careers, leave a painful relationship, heal an old wound between someone you love, or a wound that's made by fear itself. So many of us begin in the right place, but then talk ourselves out of it. But what I've learned over the years is that while fear is a bully of a partner, love is so much harder. Can you hear me? Yes. As Pema Chodron, the great Buddhist scholar, said, sometimes you have to let the defenses drop before the specter of fear in order to see what's truly in your heart. When things fall apart, as she says, we stand on the verge of really knowing the one thing. When things fall apart, fear is at its worst, and we're faced with this certain testing and healing. But as we know, there can't be a breakthrough without a breakdown. And that, of course, is where the light gets in. And that is where the joy lives. That light that shines in anyway. Michelle Collins, who we heard from this morning, says, there's a crack in the world where light finds its way through. Not wide, not welcoming, just enough. The seed arrives on a wind, lands in the darkness between stone and stone, and begins its work in earnest. She writes that roots press downward through grit and shadow, seeking moisture to places that were meant to be barren. They do not ask permission. They do not apologize for their hunger. They do not apologize for their being. Slowly, the green crown pushes upward, meeting resistance every fraction of an inch, and the concrete does not yield willingly. It groans. It cracks infinitesimally, but the stem continues to grow and push, and what emerges is not delicate in the way of imagined delicacy. It's yellow and honest and earnest. It's opening its face to the sun despite the hardness all around. And this little plant pushing up through the sidewalk where cars pass and feet land nearby, the flower remains. It makes its small declaration to the world, I am here and I am going to live. The softness breaks what hardness cannot bend. That beauty grows not in spite of the cold and unrelenting pavement, but directly through the cold and pavement, transforming a barely visible crack into a doorway. You've all seen this on a city street. There's a tree in our memorial garden. Last year it was dead, and the woodpeckers were making big holes in it. I thought nice for the birds, but we decided to take it down because it was a bit dangerous. And the arborist, bless their soul, left a 4-foot stump. And then someone, bless their soul, put a beautiful birdhouse on top of it. Made sure it was on there securely. And if you go through that garden today, you will see green shoots coming out from the side of the trunk. It has found a way to find its one thing again. When the blossom fades, it does not disappear. It transforms into a constellation of possibilities. Each seed carries the memory of stones splitting, the knowledge that what seems permanent can be challenged, it can be broken through, because the wind rustles and the next crack waits and the work continues in 1,000 directions, both patient and otherwise. That light shining on that seed is what Lexi found on that bar stool that led to her rebirth. As David DeCento said in the New York Times this weekend, hope is not an aspiration to be managed, but a virtue to be practiced. It's not an aspiration to be managed, but a virtue to be practiced. In their book, The Art of Possibility, Rosa and Ben Sanders provides a helpful frame in which to discover the one thing that's before us. We must begin first by understanding the frame of reference that we live under, right? How we look at it, the lens that we look at it, changes what we see. We must begin understanding this. We must begin looking at the world not as it is, but as our past presents itself to us, because the world is not as it is as we see it. A shoe sale representative goes to Zaire about selling shoes to the people there and writes back to his boss, "Situation hopeless here, no one wears shoes." Another sales representative goes to Zaire, writes back, "Great opportunity here, no one has shoes." As the Sanders put it, it's all invented. Everything in our life is an invention. The way we see it, the way we measure things, the way we compete, the way we judge ourselves. Yes, there are things that happen to us that seem almost foreordained to cause us heartache, but at the end of the day, we invent the way out, and that is how we see the world. You can invent a different possibility. Beyond the fear and the small light, within the possibility, there is yet one more thing. So what's your thing? Is it money? Could be money. Over the holidays, someone in Arkansas won $1.8 billion. That's the kind of thing that can kill you. I'm not kidding. Why money? Because money seems to define so much of our frame. If you believe there's never enough to go around, your frame of the possible gets very small. But if you open it up to what is possible and see money not as a possession but as a tool, something else begins to happen. In the movie Crazy Rich Asians, a young professor of economics is dating a fabulously wealthy heir to a real estate empire in Singapore. At one point, she discovers just how rich he is. When she confronts him with the reality, he says, "We are comfortable." To which she replies, "That's just what a rich person would say. We are comfortable with hundreds of millions at your disposal." Really? No, come on, friends, hundreds of millions. Comfortable is a pair of worn-out jeans and bunny slippers. Not enough money to buy a small island, or a big island for that matter. In fact, I would contend that the very wealthy are decidedly uncomfortable with their wealth, with how it makes them suspicious of other people and the guilt of what they could or should be doing with that money. And there's no shortage of this wealth here in the main line. My point is this: how we look at money frames our reality, not the amount of money per se, although if you're barely surviving, that is truly a factor in life, but your view of money itself. And I know of what I preach here. We've had a lot of money, most of which we gave away, and there was a time when we were on food stamps. I can tell you, when you take the money question out of the frame and see it as the fuel for the possibilities, everything changes. That is why, and this is the shameless plug, it's so good to give to the congregation. It's a spiritual practice to give to the congregation. It helps you open your mind as to what's possible, not just for yourself, but for the people who walk through the door, the people in the community, the people who need so much. What are we going to do with it? Maybe your one thing is love. It could be love. And then the question is, what kind of love? The kind you get, the kind you give, a little bit of both? Love is part of the search, but I don't think it's the aspiration itself. Like money, love is the tool by which the possible becomes a reality. As this new year lays before us, I invite you to listen and look for that light that is leading you to your calling. Beyond the noise, the fears, even the hope of love, there is a calling. There is something in your heart that is waiting to be born into the light. Let me close with this poem by Martha Postlethwaite. Do not try to save the whole world or anything grandiose. Instead, create a clearing in the dense forest of your life. Wait there patiently until the song that is your life falls into your cupped hands, and you recognize and greet it, because only then will you know how to give yourself to this world that is so worthy of rescue. So may it be, and amen. Let us join together in song number 146, Soon the Day Will Arrive. Please rise in body or spirit. Turn off the soundtrack of the empire. Open your hearts to the music that is already there. Search for the vision that is within you and that carries you forward from one day to the next. In the millions and millions of acts of kindness and heartfelt searching, we will change this bruised and hurting world, and we'll make a new world. Just wait and see. Please remain seated for the postlude.
Hey color.